Video games are cool, epic, and even frickin' sweet. But today, I'm not talking about the actual games. I'm talking about the way they manifest in our physical realm. The plastic shells over electronic boards, or the pressed polycarbonate discs that carry data, and the cardboard boxes that carry those. A Russian nesting doll of consumer electronics. Physical consoles and their games are the most pure way to play the games of the past. But are they the best way? Depends how you look at it. It is the original way the developers imagined you'd play these games. Although emulation brings many benefits, a certain magic is lost. Personally, the way I prefer to play these games would be as pure as possible. So that's why I enjoy collecting these relics from the past. How I learned to love these reminders of the past is through YouTubers. I didn't quite understand the history of games until I watched game reviewers like the AVGN or Let's Players like Chugga Conway. Some of the best and worst were showcased to me, and I found it all interesting. The oldest system I had growing up was the Game Boy, so I understood about 8-bit games and jamming in the cart. That era is as old as I can stomach. The story they made out of these games gave a younger generation, me, a newfound appreciation of these things. At the same time as these creators, there was a nostalgia boom. Whether it be the virtual console games of the Wii, or the PS1 classics of the PS Triple, old games were coming back into the limelight.
Alright.
Other than playing GameCube games on my Wii, the first thing I did to play these games was emulation. Back then, it was pretty good for the stuff before the 3D era, but what I wanted, what I craved, was that N64 emulation. I used an emulator called Project 64, and I got ROMs from this site called Cool ROMs. I would just go to this site and sort by most downloaded and play the most popular games on there. I had a lot of fun with cheats that gave you moon jump, it would give you all the items, or it would change Mario's color palette. I managed to play these games that relied heavily on a joystick, just using the WASD keys. This was a very bad compromise. Something was missing though, not just the controls. The shelves of games behind reviewers as they gave off their generational propaganda was always so appealing to me. These things just look so nice. So I knew what I wanted to do. I had to get some old-ass games.
Back then, I would go on eBay and just buy the stuff. Like, it was cheap and didn't require me driving, as I was like 11 at the time. I remember struggling to find an N64 with controllers for my limited budget of $30. I scoured for what felt like months, until I did find one, bundled with games even. This was my start, a charcoal gray N64 with a blue and gray controller, bundled with a torn label Mario 64 and a non-torn label Mario Kart 64. I also ordered Donkey Kong 64, an expansion pack, and a memory card because I thought games would need it. Most did not. I would go on fighting in bidding wars for game bundles until I was priced out at around $20 because that was a lot of money for me back then. Still, I got a few good games this way. If only I could go back.
I would also beg my parents to go to pawn shops and Goodwills. Even back then, it was mostly PS2 era stuff, but these places were treasure troves. Sometimes. You could get the basics, sure, but a lot of the rare stuff was still rare back then. It just cost less on eBay. Even so, I had some great finds from my local downtown pawn shop, which included a complete in-box Pokemon Crystal that actually had the wrong game inside, Gargoyle's Quest, and a complete in-box Sega Saturn with vintage Applebee stickers pasted all over it. As the years went by, more and more people hopped on the bandwagon. This was probably because of the nostalgia boom that had been going on the past few years. Video games, especially Nintendo stuff, their prices skyrocketed. It's cool that more people are getting into the hobby I'm into, but these people have too much money to burn. I get heart palpitations spending over $30 for a game I want. So this all made me a little irate. I guarantee you no one cared about these games until something like Retro Johnny or some other 40+ year old YouTuber started talking about them, calling it a hidden gem. I've been priced out, defeated. Due to the modern retro gaming climate, the main way I collect these games nowadays is finding stuff in the wild. This has its downsides, like not knowing what you're gonna find, having to meet strangers with a pocket full of money and hoping they don't scalp you, or even worse, waste your time. The upside of paying less money for me is almost always worth it. It gets me excited finding a good deal. It gets my dopamine pumping. I've also met some colorful characters going out and doing this. Story time. One time, I had to go to a bad part of a nearby city to get a stack of PS2 games, which included Def Jam, Fight for New York, which is and was an over $100 game. It was winter and getting dark fast. My father warned me that the place I was going to did not have the best reputation. When I was getting close to the spot, a homeless man was yelling at the nearby fire station, an ominous omen. When I got to the meetup spot, I had to avoid running over a broken glass door that was where I was supposed to park. I waited for a bit there, and a little lady came out with a stack of PS2 games. I asked her if they were hers. She said, "I was holding on to these games for my brother. He's in prison now. He's not coming back." She then laughed. It took me a moment to process this, and I hurried to pay her and get home. One of these games had a note inside it. "Happy birthday, Tito," from Beba. That made me a little sad. Hey, happy birthday, Tito. One time, I drove around 50 minutes away to get a Super Nintendo Junior with games. It was for the cheap, so I was excited, but the last Super Nintendo I bought didn't work. For that reason, I asked to check it before I took my long drive home. The man, who looked no older than a teenager, obliged and let me inside their apartment. The apartment was dark and dingy, and there were 3 people in it. One of those people was an intimidating man who was a head taller than me and must have had 100 pounds on me. My heart was pumping, but I couldn't let this get the better of me. I'd die for a good deal. In the corner of the main room was a pile of used inhalers. I wonder why. They then asked one another if they had a TV, and eventually they found one. As I was testing out the games, they left me alone with a third person, a girl with red-dyed hair, who would laugh like the Joker at everything I had to say. As soon as I saw the games and system work, I rushed out of there. The guy contacted me again a day later, asking if I wanted to buy a Jungle Green N64 and Pokemon XD Edition GameCube because he needed money for his daughter. I declined because I didn't want to drive out all the way out there again. I kind of regret it to this day. All this I would consider life experience. Some funny episodes. My bartering and social skills have definitely gone up doing this. I could haggle with the best of them. This includes undershooting the asking price to get a better deal and then meeting in the middle, so we're both happy. Other times I would offer more if it was a really good deal and I had to outbid the competition. If I can't get the game or don't want to spend the money on it, I'll play it on a modded console or emulator. The guy's gotta give up on the idealized scenario eventually. Should you go through these avenues to collect games? I mean, if it's fun for you and you're dedicated enough, sure. I mean, I look at it as a game within itself. If you really want something, sometimes what you have to do is bite the bullet and buy it for whatever price they're holding your precious item hostage at. While this hobby I wouldn't call as dead, it may be dead for the cheapskate penny pincher that I am. Maybe one day when I'm rich, I'll buy all the rest of the games I want, But for now, this hobby goes on the back burner while I work on becoming who I want to be. Go to Justin. No! Not in the camera.
It's attached.
No, like, is it not in the video?
No, it is. That's why it's funny.
Some of the best and the worst. Fuck off! All this I would consider life experience. Some funny episodes. I should have had this up. What the fuck? Sometimes, though, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. This is just for fun. I don't know why they did green screen.
Just for the meme. Very cool.
Time lapse. We had like no part in this.
If you really want something, it was for the.
Dude, seriously? We're trying to record a YouTube video.
This is gonna get me copyright struck. That's that.